get by. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Weisz.
Dr. Jeremy Weisz here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today, I am excited to introduce the founder of Lionsgate Network, Bezalel Raviv. And Tal, before I formally introduce you, I always like to point out other episodes people should check out of the podcast. Since this is part of the Israel Business Leader Series, I had a really interesting interview with Weisz of Mobileye, one of the founding engineers at Mobileye. And he talked about the journey of being acquired. Mobileye was acquired by Intel for $15.3 billion. But what's interesting about the story was the ups and the downs, right? There was a lot of sacrifice, a lot of downs and challenges throughout this journey. So check that one out. Also did another one with Ron Geva, a founder of webs.io. He helps companies with brand protection, monitors the dark web, and security for companies. And this kind of relates to today's interview. So I'm excited to dig into that, but check that one out with Ron. And this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect to their Dream 100 relationships. And how do we do that? We actually help you run your podcast. We're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do the full strategy, accountability, and the execution. Bezalel, we call ourselves the magic elves that work in the background to make it look easy for the company and the host so they can create great relationships and great content. So for me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. And I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. And I found no better way over the past decade to profile the people and companies I most admire and share with the world what they're working on. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should. If you have questions, go to rise25.com. I'm excited to introduce Bezalel Raviv. He's the founder of Lionsgate Network. And Lionsgate Network provides blockchain intelligence, analysis, and recovery for your crypto funds. And their specialty is actually to create a customized roadmap to help their clients successfully recover money. Okay, what does that look like? That looks like recently, Lionsgate has rocked the crypto world, foiling hacks, scams, and intercepting $90 million in Hamas funds. That'd be one example of many, but Bezalel, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Let's dig in. We'll talk about Lionsgate, why you started this company, what you do, but start with intercepting $90 million in Hamas funds. What happened there?
All right. So I was in Switzerland on a trip. It was before the war started, basically 36 hours before the war started. And as the war started on a Saturday morning, I think every Jew and Israeli in the world was like, okay, this is catastrophe. Obviously, I was with my nephew and we scheduled the return back to Israel because that's what we do. We've come back to, we're scheduled to come back to homeland. And on the third day of the war, I'm getting a phone call from a friend of mine, Hila Sroor, who we did some work together. And she's saying, okay, listen, I have Itai Rosenblatt from Microsoft online with me, and we've received a few crypto wallets from the Ministry of Defense. We need your help. Obviously, Eli is familiar with my work and with the company of Lionsgate Network. And from that moment, it's a roller coaster. As she basically shared with me information about suspected Hamas wallets. The vista of those wallets were linked to a campaign of Save Gazans, right? The back end is terrorist activities. So as she's sending the information, because obviously we are working at Lionsgate Network with personal cases, okay, or business-related cases to people that lost access to their money or crypto in any way, right? So we've basically monitored and, analyzed 12 specific cases dedicated to what we do. And the terror relations to crypto was the 13th case we started working on. We did not know what we were doing in that case because we've never done it before. So it was a surprise. So everything that we've trained ourselves with other 12 scenarios, we've exercised with a new one, saying, let's see what happens. Incredibly enough, in 4 minutes, okay, we already have identity of the holder of the wallet. And that's incredible, as we've been very lucky, because normally it takes us an hour to cross-reference from a wallet address, crypto, to an ID. And that is the critical element, as without an ID, you can't, seize any funds, right? So basically the call out was from the Ministry of Defense, right? In order for the minister, Yoav Gallant, to sign the seizing letter, right? So they can take it to court, and court can see the evidence and say, okay, it's fine to seize it. So the whole operation really was messed with one component, which was the identity linkage to the wallet. And that's something we've provided with tens of different wallets, crypto wallets, relevant to that specific campaign.
So
hope I did not bore you to death.
No. So talk about when you discover the linkage, right? You're
right.
identifying specific people that were involved. Is that
yes.
what you're finding?
Their face, their eyeballs, their LinkedIn, their social media, everything. And obviously we're ecstatic because, we didn't expect it to be that successful that quickly. And obviously we transmit the information. And next thing we know, we receive a link indicating that those funds were forever seized by the Israeli government.
How do you then continue to monitor this? In this situation, it sounds like they came with, we need you to look into these accounts. Is there a way to monitor other activity? So as like a preventative measure, as opposed to...
Yeah, a lot of data comes across when you're investigating one single case, right? Everything that came in and out, everything that is connected to that person, everything that person did, ever. So there's a lot of information. You mostly have to ignore most of it to be able to focus on what's needed to solve the case. So that's what we are trained to do, okay? We are very much Pavlovic to resolution, right? A conclusion. And that's what we have to do with each and every case. The conclusion is the essential fact or bottom line for all cases, because finding information about cases, a lot of companies in our competition analysis offer it, right? Give you a lot of information about that wallet. That's great, but we're not interested with the data. We're interested with the conclusion. And in that case, with Hamas wallets, the conclusion was one: let's stop that money from going to terror activities to fund terrorists and terrorism. So that money will be with Israel, okay? So we can rebuild the southern part of Israel that was destroyed through the attacks on the 7th. So that's what we saw, and we pushed very hard because the more success we had, the less sleep we had, and the more fortune we had as far as a successful ending to each and every case. We realized that there is a far bigger story to anything we've done.
Is there, you mentioned, now that you can, that makes sense. You see these accounts, whatever it is, 13 accounts, and there's some kind of digital trail, right, of things coming in, things going out. Does that give you insight into what other accounts should be looked into?
Yeah. First of all, it's 13 scenarios that we've tackled, and over 100 various Hamas wallets. This is just like, just like the good story. of Alice in Wonderland. You enter the rabbit hole, and you know that the only way out is with the rabbit. A lot of people are losing their mind in that sense because they're, in a vacuum looking for intel that is relevant to a case. So we're always searching the rabbit. Again, you're flooded with information because over 120 million crypto wallets are active on a daily basis. Each and every one is, averaging between 5 to 6 transactions a day. Okay. So you can imagine the kind of information you're surfing in. And most of the time, there is one indication to a conclusion, right? So to answer your question, it was quite interesting to notice that activities that we were not searching for have given us indication for relations of citizens in Europe that are funding those campaigns to support terrorism. And it's interestingly enough, because only lately it was published that in Germany and France, it is illegal. That's a new law to fund terrorism. Okay, can you imagine? This is in Europe. Just recently, it's not. And I think Europe is waking up to the day after, realizing that the heat is actually, closer than ever, right? Political, social level. And basically to witness tens of millions of dollars that are being funded by European citizens. So it gave us an interesting, I take responsibility for this. It gave me the imagination to think about why just unveil the holder of the funds? That's one way. Why not unveil also the donors? Why not expose the donors? And that's a campaign that we are dedicating some times to with everything that we do, because I think there's two things that will come out of it. First of all, if you want to support human beings that are helpless in Gaza, do it through the Red Cross and UN. Already spoken with them. Do it through the channels where you support human beings. First of all, education for those who actually give money to terrorism without thinking about it. Secondly, if you want to support terrorism, know that you can be exposed as well. So two things that we are offering in this campaign that at the moment we are in discussion to launch. We do it anyway now because we're exercising, because when you target and intercept one wallet, that's one thing with one identity. Now, the back end is that a lot of people fund that wallet, right, on a donation campaign. So we're finding the easiest way, or the easier way, really, to also intercept identities on donor site. We couldn't have thought about it before. It wasn't available because we have not, received access to that information.
So is that, I'm curious, where are you focusing a lot of your efforts right now?
Solving cases, as always. That's our bread and butter. Intercepting black hats in crypto. Black hats is a big name, right? It's not like, mystical. People that attack other people on blockchain will be there to investigate and manifest a solution for you. If it was for $25,000 or if it was for $40 million, it doesn't matter. Obviously, it's very complex. It's hyper intense. Each and every case is on its own, as it has its own merits and own parameters. But we are getting higher and higher success rate with each and every case we solve because we kind of infiltrate how people operate.
Well, before we hit record, we were talking about there's a lot of battlefields here. So what should people know about this battlefield?
A marvelous question, because the feedback is a two-way door. There's the positive angle and the negative, or the optimistic or the pessimistic. The optimistic is that blockchain may offer a lot of freedom to a lot of people with their finances, because blockchain is a culture, and blockchain is a philosophy, and blockchain is a very advanced technology that can be used for both good and bad, but without offering liability or accountability to anything. We can find ourselves as a culture in a gloomy place, really, because you can cook a chicken in the oven, but you can also cook the man in it, and that's something we're looking at, if it makes sense.
So talk about, how did you get into this? What was the idea to start Lionsgate?
Well, that's an interesting story. Basically, what happened is that I was taken to a meeting to invest in a company that does blockchain analysis and help people recover their funds. And I asked, "What do you do?" Because they wanted me to invest. And I said, "What do you do? I mean, what is your secret sauce? Tell me." And I was like under the impression that I'm not getting a feedback that I wanted to hear, right? So I was like, okay, I'm not going to invest in it. Let's move on. At the time, I invested in a company that is called Hallelujah, which is music copyright on blockchain, because music is something that I adore effortlessly. I recorded music. I was a musician for over 10 years. I was tutored to be a musician. But at some point, I gave up that idea as a profession because it didn't pay the bills. And the reason it didn't pay the bills because the financial models of music, even today, are horrible for musicians. You own the asset, but you get paid as if you are the vagabond in the model. So it's funny. So I said, I want to build something, a new culture of copyrights management through blockchain, because blockchain, again, can offer you that platform to introduce something new. My premise back then was introducing music to the metaverse. Sorry for the long story. And we're gonna help people make, with existing music, new dollars from virtual environments. But metaverse had pivoted out of what we felt is interesting for the company or for the industry. And my father at that time passed away. He checked out. And I was like, okay, I can't do Hallelujah at the moment. I took my 30 days. And I was like, I don't know how to pick myself up. And for some reason, that meeting with that guy who took me to invest in a recovery of crypto, I said, I actually can do this project far better. And I got addicted, really. I was mesmerizing through R&D, because everything that I learned on blockchain, on music copyrights, was relevant to blockchain of crypto. So really, Hallelujah is the base ground of Lionsgate Network. It gave me the instrument to not only see things that crypto recovery companies couldn't see, but also to exercise a service that is worthwhile to millions of people around the world.
So what's the process look like? I'm looking, if you're just listening to the audio, there is a video component. We're on the Lionsgate.network website. You can see, there's a bunch of examples. I mean, there's scenarios, those romance scams, cryptocurrency scams, stock trading scams. We're looking at this one where he's like, I got my pension funds that I deposited in crypto exchange that disappeared, and that was helped. So what's the process look like? Someone obviously gets something stolen from them. What do they do? How does it work with you?
Well, some of them go straight to the authorities, and the authorities say, fill out a form and we'll call you whenever, because they don't have the manpower to exercise. Like I said, new keys, new doors, old keys, old doors. And the authorities have not adjusted to new doors yet. So they file a report, and that's it. In 99%, it ends there, unless it's a $400 million case, right? So then the bureaus comes in. But if it's like $4 million, I mean, come on, make another four.
Yeah, it's that easy, right?
Right. Go, if you've made four, make another four. And then they basically search. They go on Google, and Google is based on intent, right? And they search, and they find a lot of scam recovery services. So, oh boy, they go from this to that. Terrible. 25% of our clients, in some months, 50% of our clients have been terrorized, that is the word, with fake recovery services. Okay. If they're lucky, they come to us. We are fully transparent, just like we are on video now. Each and every client is entitled for a face-to-face conference. First of all, here we are. This is who we are, like it or not. Our company is transparent, address is transparent, company's registration number is transparent, everything is transparent. Tell us what is your problem. First of all, sit down and tell us what is your problem. We'll find out if we can help you. And that is basically on our expense. Why? Because if it's something that we are not aware of, you're educating us really. If it's something we are aware of, then we can tell you what we're going to do based on a report that we will provide to you before you do anything. You see the report, and the report will give you the indication where your money is in this red hot minute in 95% of the times. There are cases where funds are very tricky to locate, okay? But this is the minority of most cases. To encourage these people, we tell them what we know. First of all, hackers and black hat people are very cumbersome. They make a lot of mistakes, even the good ones. They're making themselves familiar without knowing they're actually familiar. So when we step in the occasion, we kind of, we say that because a lot of people, Jeremy, think that it's not possible to recover funds in crypto. They have a story told to them back in medieval times that it's not possible to recover crypto. And we're like, what are you talking about? Crypto is the easiest to locate. Why? Because every transaction is hooked on the transaction before and hooked to the transaction after. It's a blockchain. All the blocks are together. Now, if we are able to indicate the first block, obviously we can indicate the last one. So unlike what they think, I don't know who given them that information, but a lot of people have that notion that they're not only in front stage with the lights on, the spot is on them, but also the music is playing. Okay, referencing back to Hallelujah. It's a concert for us. We see the performer. Okay, now we just need to figure out their full identity. That is the second, because we start with blockchain analysis and we move to cyber intelligence. That is the critical element that most companies are not even providing in sync with blockchain analysis. And we do. We basically say, okay, this person name is this and that. Okay. And then fraud AML is the last stop of that train, saying, why don't you give this client of ours his money back or her money back, and we'll end it for today. If not, sometimes they resist. There is a list of sanctions that is available to use with authorities, of course. And what can you do with $4 million behind the bars? Not so much. And so they just want to close and go. So it's logic, it's simple logic, and it's exercised each and every time with each and every case.
Who should be contacting you? Like you mentioned your friend who then, you're talking with the people at Microsoft. That person just happened to know you. Who else should be contacting you? Companies.
Right. So basically, we have the B2C, B2B, and B2G, right? That's all we have. God has not given us more B2 something. So only three. We can't work outside the realm of B2B, B2C, B2G. So B2C, we're already doing on a daily basis. People contacting us directly. They don't need anyone for that. No middleman, peer-to-peer. And then there is obviously the B2B, which we have not been introduced to, but they are great friends of ours, yet to be introduced, because they are the wallets and the exchanges that represents funds and custodians for a lot of people money. And these people have history, right? So that will be the next logical step as soon as we finalize the PR campaign that we started with the publication of the Lionsgate Network, Hamas, Ministry of Defense. And B2G is obviously, we've done it with Israel. We've done it pro bono, of course. There's no contract there. There was just a need, and we jumped on the carriage and we whooped the horses forward because we wanted to get those bastards. We wanted to reveal them, and we wanted to say, if we can help it, you're not getting that money. That money should be going to the same families you've terrorized. And for us, it's an act of Bil'am from the Bible, if you remember him. He wanted to curse and he came out blessing. So all these people from Europe who supported Hamas really supported the rebuild of the southern city that got affected and the kibbutz that got affected through this event.
In the B2G realm, what position? There's governments obviously all over the world. They don't want things funded. Terror organizations. Is there a position at the government that should be like, you know what, we should be contacting Lionsgate and exploring this further for their own country? What the position? If someone from government or someone is listening to this,
right,
and they're like, well, this is not my department. Whose department is it, or what position should be contacting?
So it's finance or treasury or law, right? They work with each other, right? Like in Israel, it's Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Finance, the Treasury, and the Ministry of of Law. How do you say the Ministry of Law?
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Yeah. That's the conversation. I mean, really, just like we have three departments of blockchain analysis, cyber intelligence, and AML fraud, they have to work with each other to finalize a case. In order to finalize a case with the government, you need the support of more than one person. And it has to go from one to the other to the next. And than a conclusion.
Another use case, I mean, there's a lot of use cases that in scenarios that you get. And I don't know how common it is, but when I was on your website and I've seen Netflix specials, scams, romance scams specifically.
Yeah,
What does that look like?
very painful to those who undergone it. Romance scam is also known as the pig butchering scam, called like that because the person who swiped right to the wrong person is being filled and fed with compliments until they are butchered when money is transacted. Tinder is the most notorious platform to not be responsible or held any responsibilities for those actions. I'm not sure if they're responsible, but the more cases we get that are titled, it's how we call it, romantic scams, because we still want to encourage people to fall in love and be romantic, right? So in the realm of romantic scam, we've noticed a lot of Americans that are engaging with citizens of Eastern countries. Okay. And in the beginning, we thought, it's just, based on financial profit, right? Using a camera and good communication levels. And then we saw more and more attackers or online terrorists that are from countries that are in dispute or not in harmony with the US. And I was thinking, this is very interesting, super unfortunate for the people, our clients, but interesting that you wouldn't see Americans that are attacking other Americans in the romantic scam. So one thing that is important to point out, you would think that scammers are those that are being scammed, the victims or the user, the subject, are not so smart, right? How could you send $500,000 to someone you met online and never met with them face to face? The truth of the matter is that if you don't understand it, imagine how good and trained that other person is. And they're super trained. They understand how to manipulate and maneuver in ways that is of high intelligence. Okay. And unfortunately, the numbers that we've come across and we assess are around the $5 billion in the US alone, only from that specific category. But since we've been solving those cases, we can say that that person attacking did not say the last word. And that's a good thing, is it was reversible, and it is reversible in most cases, not in all cases. It's per case. Everything that we do is per case.
In these situations, do they have actual fake profiles, or are they an actual person behind it? Is it like them when they're communicating? Obviously, they're online. They're probably seeing pictures, maybe videos. I don't know. Is it an act? Are they using a fake profile, or what do you see? What does that interaction look like from the person?
So first of all, they don't neglect any of the sexes. You have men attacking women. You have women attacking men. You have men attacking men. Women attacking women. Okay, so they're not biased. They go with whatever they can. In different website, by the way, Tinder is not a unique space for that specific scam. So they have incredible profiles, very good pictures, showing some skin, That's what we've witnessed. They will lure you in a conversation and then lure you in a video conference. But in the video conference, you will see a silhouette. You wouldn't see like presentation in full light. Okay. So your mind will be running that you saw that person. That person exists, but really what you saw is a smoking mirror. You might as well, flame a sage in the house and you would say that you saw that person. So that's the case. And it's copy paste for all cases almost. In the good cases, it's copy and paste. And they also will reveal their passports sometimes before they introduce to you that amazing financial scheme for you to make a lot of money through. With a couple of my girls, as they would say, the luring is social, is not financial. There is a financial, pillar to it, but it's social. It's like come and have a drink with us, where it costs you $400,000. So yeah, that's from what we've analyzed so far, and I think we only pinged and pinched that specific area. It's far bigger than what we think we know, in my understanding.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw, there was like a full, like a Netflix special about, I forgot what they called it. It was a guy on Tinder who was scamming women. So I think you probably have a bunch of storylines for another Netflix special. It sounds like.
I think that if anyone is watching this would be B2E. B2E is business to entertainment.
Right.
Here is the E. If someone from Netflix is watching, we have the story. We have the script for you. Contact us, because the stories that we come across as people open their heart to us, they trust us with their story, are incredible every time. Some of them are repetitive, but most of them are, like I said, unique cases that you couldn't write for Hollywood, really.
Yeah. I have one last question. And just thanks for sharing your journey, your story, and Lionsgate. And if someone out there knows someone that can be helped, contact Lionsgate. Go to their website, lionsgate.network, to learn more. When I was doing my research, it's all about you. I see all this stuff about prolific musician. So when you look back over your music career, what's one of the favorite moments or concerts that you had in the music world?
New York City, always, yeah. New York City, in a club called Spa. There was an Israeli promoter who's a friend of mine today, Mari Asulin, and it was the best club in the Big Apple. And I remember that specific concert as really like I felt on stage, and it was an incredible experience. And it doesn't matter what I do in life. I believe in music, and I believe in God, and I believe that music is a high energy instrument that can activate great cells in the brain, because some of them are not so good. And I feel that wherever I go, doesn't matter what I do, I understand the power of music, and how it can influence people to, it's technology, really. Just like blockchain, music is technology. You can do amazing things with it and encourage people to live their life, and you can discourage people with it and to do other things. So yeah. Jeremy, thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your story. Everyone check out lionsgate.network. Thanks, everyone.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.